Hi everyone, this is Sheila James, storyteller. I'm in San Francisco on a sunny day and it's June 23rd, 2015. Today I'm going to talk about the trips. I took 2 trips with Sarah Vann, who was Dean of the Library School at the University of Hawaii, Manoa. And one of the trips, the main part was to Wales and the UK. And the second trip was to Scotland and the UK. They're very different in their focus, but they were extremely different into anything I have ever experienced where I thought I was going to be speaking the English language with English speakers. But it's very, very different. Going to Wales with Sarah and a group of librarians, when we arrived at Heathrow Airport in London and going through, passing through immigration, the man said to me, where are you going, miss? And I said, well, I'm going to Wales, but I don't know where it is. I can't say it, spell it. And he said, I know where you're going. You're going to Aberystwyth. I said, that's it. That's where I'm going. We went there for about 10, maybe 12 days. At that time, the university in Aberystwyth was the main library for the UK. And Sarah, being the dean of the library school in Hawaii, was welcomed with her group. We stayed in dorms at the university, and we had a number of adventures. First of all, though, I finally learned to be able to say Aberystwyth and to know that Aber, which is a number of towns that start with that, means you are at the mouth of a river going into the bay. So anytime Aberdeen, there are other Abers, that's what Aberystwyth is. The university is on top of a hill, and to get into the town, it's walkable, but it's down a hill and across a field, but there are of course roads. But we decided, a group of us, to go into town and buy a few things like water or something, and maybe candy. And we started off, and we decided to walk across this green park and cutting quite a bit of distance off the road. And we were smack in the middle of this green park when we heard men yelling, screaming, stop, stop. So we did. And they came over, they were livid. We were in the middle of a cricket field. Nobody walks on that grass if you're not playing cricket. And they were just furious. And they said, and where are you from? And we said, Hawaii. And they said, oh, Hawaii 5-0, Jack Lord. Oh, great. We'll escort you to the road on the sidewalk. They just were so nice once they knew that we were part of Jack Lord's Hawaii 5-0 world. Aberystwyth is it's not the capital, but it's and the university was the main thing for Prince Charles, who was the Prince of Wales, that when he became old enough to really be charged as a Prince of Wales, went to the university to learn to speak Welsh and to learn the culture. Sarah, being important in her world, was given as our tutor and guide, the same one that Prince Charles had. It didn't stick with me, and I don't know whether it stuck with him. But we traveled around in a school bus with a local man who told us all kinds of things that we would never have gotten from other tour happenings. And we did go to Carnarvon, which is the castle in the northern part of Wales, and Tom was our driver for the rest of our stay, which was to go over into England, and we went to Hadrian's Wall, and out of a group of about 20 people, I was the only one who walked on the wall. It was built by the Romans to keep the terrible Scots from coming into England. The Romans are willing to fight all kinds of people, but they really didn't want to fight the Scots. Tom, the driver's main interest in life was horse racing. And every day he would get the local rag that told about the horse races. So at the very end of the tour, we had a weekend before Tom would be taking us to the airport or wherever the people were going. And the last day being a Sunday, many of the group wanted to go to church, which they walked to. But as a non-church goer, and Sarah didn't go to church either, although she was a church goer, and two other women went with Tom to the horse races, and we went to Ascot. Now, Royal Ascot is when the Queen attends and you dress up and you do very fancy things. This was dirt. We had to cross a railroad track and walk across the race track to get to the viewing stands, which were just outside like a high school football field. And you would make your bets from men who were standing on boxes. And I, who am very unlucky with gambling, gambled on 3 horses, one being from a lord from Ireland. And I thought that would really, I would break my luck and win. But after a few minutes, someone came up to me and said, well, aren't you going to go get your money? And I said, they haven't had the race yet. What do you mean? And she said, your horse was scratched and you can go and get your bet back. So I did. And then my other 2 horses, of course, didn't. They were probably last. And Sarah, who is always lucky at horse races, she said, won every one of her races, but she didn't bet very much. The second time I went to England with Sarah, Sarah was had a good business friend who was Margaret Dewey, and Margaret Dewey was the niece of John Dewey of the Dewey Decimal System, for those of you who are old enough to have used that in the libraries instead of the Library of Congress system. And Margaret Dewey arranged for this tour to take Sarah and Sarah's friend, that's me, to Scotland, to the Isle of Iona. Heard of it? No, I hadn't either. And we drove from Milton Keynes in the UK up to Scotland to the town of Oban. And that is the town where the boats go to the islands that you can only get to by boat. And so we spent the night at a B&B, and the next morning early we walked to the dock and got on a large ferry boat. When I say large, it took cars. And we went by this ferry boat to the Isle of Mull. And there we all got off and got onto a bus, those of us who were crossing the island, and went across the Isle of Mull to the dock that would take us by a different boat to the Isle of Iona. This is the first time, and really only time, I was on a real piece of land where the road was one car wide, and it's flat. There are very few trees in this part of the world, and you could see somebody coming towards you. You looked for the nearest turnoff, and the first one that found a turnoff took it, a parking spot, and let the other car or bus go by, and then you went on your way. And it took about an hour to get across the island. And the reason for going to Iona was that the monks from Ireland went north. Directly from Ireland north is the Isle of Iona. And during the Dark Ages, the monks took the books of Kells to hide them and work on them in Iona. That's why most people go there to see where that took place. However, the graveyard interested me more than my companions. It is fenced in with stone fencing. It's very green, as most of this part of the world is from being so damp. And it is where the kings of Scotland are buried. And there are no headstones. There are no markers. There's nothing to tell you that's what's there. Margaret Dewey knew because she had done some studying on the island. And I stood there and called out to Macbeth, but he didn't answer. But they are still using it. A minister from Great Britain died and was buried there about 15, 20 years ago. I have a picture of his family being escorted through the stone doorway or entryway. From there, we went to the part of Scotland. We returned boat by boat, and then the Isle of Mull, and then we went to Edinburgh, where Sarah had another friend who was able to drive us around and show us Edinburgh. So Sarah and I had different interests of where we were when we were there, but nevertheless it was a great experience. The one really uncomfortable time was that Sarah always traveled with too much luggage. huge amounts of luggage, 2 big bags that would be checked, and a small bag, and her suit, and her purse, and her coat, and she was just laden down. And the second time when I traveled with her, I told her I wasn't going to help her with her luggage at all. And she said, "But Sheila, I'd help you." I said, "You couldn't. You can't even take care of yourself." So I, who carry on only, made her work with her suitcases. And she said, "You never know what you're going to need." And she was both times going on to give lectures at various universities, so she had to have dressy clothes. So I had very different experiences by going with Sarah, and it was well worth some of the difficulties that we had. Another time, another country. That will be it for today.